Well, let's bring in real estate agent Tom Story, who's standing by in Toronto. Hey, Tom, good to see you again.
Hey, Todd, how are you?
I'm good. So what's the story?
Well, the story is when nothing was happening in April, we were all kind of saying in the real estate community, well, I wonder if the spring market is just going to get pushed to the summer. And it seems like that's exactly what happened, but it's even busier than we ever expected.
Yeah, so it was surprising, or were you kind of like, yeah, I think this is going to happen. We're going to have to see.
You know, it's a little bit surprising the amount of transactions that are happening, but I think it's a few things together. So when nothing was happening in April, kind of May 1st is when all of our phones started to ring and we started preparing properties for sale. But what I've actually seen in our specific market in Toronto, it's like a tale of two markets right now. The freehold market, meaning you own the land under your feet, is going extremely well, where the condo side of things has actually slowed down for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, so you are in the GTA where it's like 50%, sales rose in July. In Vancouver, Tom, 44%, Montreal, 40% basically. You got Ottawa at almost 30%, London, Ontario, 17, even, Calgary at 16%. I mean, it's basically coast to coast to coast here. Now, here's the question. Can you maintain this? What do you think?
I don't think these levels, right? Like we were basically told don't go outside, and everyone stayed in their house for about 3 to 4 months, right? And I think a lot of them realized they either loved their house or they didn't love their house. So these type of sales numbers, they can't sustain at this level. However, I do think no matter what, it's just going to be busy until the end of 2020 with no real travel happening right now. A lot of people are putting their eyes on real estate and making a move.
So as a real estate agent, I'm just curious to get your take on, were you surprised when people would call you up, Tom, and say, hey, listen, I know we're in the middle of a global pandemic and the world's kind of on its knees, but I'd like to sell my house?
Yes, and especially in those early months, because it went from like, okay, I want to buy this or I want to sell this to I need to buy this or I need to sell this. But the conversations now are happening because when COVID hit, it really changed the lifestyle of everybody in big ways, obviously. And in my specific market, I work in the urban core in Toronto. We're seeing a lot of people actually leave the city and go to other markets. And other realtors I've talked to in other marketplaces in surrounding areas outside the big Canadian cities, they're experiencing numbers that they've never seen before. Even agents that have said like, well, I've never had multiple offers on a property, which is the norm in the big markets. It's happening everywhere.
I'm curious about something else too. You talked about how you work in downtown Toronto, so there are so many towers going up all over the place, and it's the same thing in most big cities in Canada now, where there are a lot of condos on the market. I'm curious, are you seeing kind of a tale of two things going on here? The condo market is one story, but the housing market is kind of like on fire.
Yeah, so in Toronto, the numbers that came out in July, total prices were up 16% year over year. But a lot of that growth really happened in the freehold housing market. In the condo market, if you actually look from the very beginning of the year until right now, the condo market's actually only up about 1%, where typically we'd be 4 to 5% by this point in time. What's basically happened is that the condo market, the inventory, the supply that was available to the buyers out there has doubled in the last few months. So they're still selling, but it's a price range thing. Condos under 700,000 are moving very well. As you go into the luxury condo market, they're taking a lot longer on the market because there's a lot more to choose from.
And what about the fall? What do you think here? We're kind of mid-August now.
Yeah, it would have been a different answer if the kids weren't going back to school. I think the fact that in most Canadian markets that is happening, it's going to be a busy fall, but I don't think the numbers are going to be as high just in terms of amount of sales that have happened based on what we've seen in these summer months.
Hey, Tom, good to see you again, and thanks for taking a bit of time today. All the best.
You too. Thanks, Todd.
Real estate agent Tom Story.